Hi guys, my name is Vuhlandes, and my favorite 35mm film camera is the Leica M6. Yeah, that was lame. That was oh my, that was So now that we got the cringy part of the video over with, what is the goddamn deal, YouTube? My name is Vuhlandes. Oh, I don't even remember. What is the goddamn deal, YouTube? It is, of course, your boy Vuhlandes back with another video. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about why the Leica M6 is my favorite 35mm film camera that I've owned so far up until this point in my film photography career journey, whatever you want to call it. It is my favorite, but let's get some things out of the way first before we start any of the talking about why it's my favorite camera. First of all, this water, Liquid Death, amazing branding. If you want to talk about branding, this, let me turn it down a little bit. Amazing branding on this water, because it does look like a beer. If you look at this, it looks like a beer. Like from afar, this looks like a beer. And this is not a Liquid Death ad sponsored video, but honestly, if Liquid Death, if you want to, sponsor your boy with some water, you feel me? Like, hit me up. I'm all, what I'm saying? I'm about that. Sometimes it is disappointing though, because like sometimes you might want a beer, you crack it open, sounds like a beer, and then you drink it, and it's just water, and it's like, wish it was a beer. But yeah, healthy lifestyle. So we're drinking water. I was gonna put it over here because that looks cool, but it's too much of an ad. But it looks cool. Too much. Looks cool. Dignity. Looks cool. I'm gonna go with some dignity this time. So getting into it seriously, the Leica M6 is my favorite film camera, but like I said, some tidbits before we get into why. One, I am not a Leica fanboy. I don't think that everything that Leica does is amazing. I don't think that every camera that they have put out is amazing. If y'all know, I just shot with the Leica SL2, and then I'm not the biggest fan of that camera. I wouldn't waste my money on that camera. Two, I also don't think that their cameras are necessarily worth the money. When I say worth the money, like this Leica M6 is like $3,000, $4,000 for a 35mm rangefinder film camera. Are there 35mm rangefinder film cameras where you can get similar results? Yes, I do think it comes into play when you start putting Leica glass on these cameras. Like that's like something and those lenses have that Leica look that everybody kind of talks about. I do think that those lenses are pretty spectacular. They are very well built, very good glass. They have some things that they do that this lens cannot kind of compete with, like when you stop it all the way down and that vignetting around the edges on this Vuhlandes lens, and just like just some issues that this lens runs into that the Leica lenses don't necessarily run into. So I can understand from that point of view, but I still think to just like the average consumer, people who don't have a ton of money, it's a little bit overpriced for sure. Three, I don't worship this camera. I definitely put it face down on the ground. In one of my videos, I had it on the ground, and somebody was like, pick your Leica up off the ground, don't load your camera on the ground, because like it's a Leica, why would you do that? And it's just like, it's a camera to me, bro. I can't, for the sake, I can't for the life of me like baby my cameras or treat them like they're some type of prized possession, when like in reality they're just, it's just a camera. Now, should you just be spinning it around and just like throwing it? If you want to do that, your things are your things, you can do whatever you want. But maybe you shouldn't do that, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I never really understood why people care so much about what other people do with their belongings. So yeah, let's just get that out the way. I'm not Leica fanboy. I'm not some Leica head. I'm not, Leica boys, team Leica boys, none of that. But it is a very good camera if we are being honest. Now, there are some other options to this camera that, are kind of cheaper and, you know, produces similar results, like the Leica M5 and other Leicas before the M6. The previous Leicas, you know, they're Leicas still, but, you know, they have some functions and features that some people just don't care for. I actually, you know, don't matter to me. I just got this one because, you know, Leica boys, even though I just said I'm not Leica boys. All right, so now that that is all out of the way, let's just talk about the reasons why this is my favorite film camera and the reason I've been shooting with it every day since I've gotten it a couple months ago. So for me, I don't necessarily need to spend time with something for a prolonged period of time to decide whether if I like it or dislike it. Usually within like the first 10 minutes of me using something, I can tell if I like it or dislike it. But y'all do know that I did make a video using the Leica M6 before I obtained the Leica M6. And in that video, I was saying how it's not necessarily worth the money and I don't necessarily see myself ever owning it. I do not think that it is worth it to get this camera over something else or over other things that you can do within your work to progress it further than just like having the best, cutest cameras. That was clearly a lie. The reasons that I said that was because I didn't like the rangefinder system of cameras. It wasn't just for the Leica M6, it was just like all across the board. The Mamiya 7, the Leica M6, any camera with a rangefinder, I'm just like, this isn't for me. This isn't the style of shooting that I want to do, and I'm over it. I don't really necessarily like it. Good camera, but not for me. That has changed. The reason I did pick up the Leica M6 is because I did want to start challenging myself, and I didn't want to have the attitude of just because I don't necessarily like something, I shouldn't give it a chance and actually go out and try to get better at it. Because like with anything, riding a bike, learning how to ride a motorcycle, learning how to be a photographer or anything, everything's going to be uncomfortable at first, and it's not always going to be, you know, what you're used to. And you know, I kind of gotta make myself uncomfortable if I want to push myself in a different direction with my photography. If I want to see things differently, if I want to do things differently, I kind of got to make myself uncomfortable and put myself in those situations. So that is the reason why I got the M6 instead of something where, you know, I'm very comfortable with, I wouldn't have an issue with, and, you know, just all around, it would be a better option for me if I was going based off my standards and what I liked. That was a mouthful. I decided to get the M6 again. And since getting the M6 again, I will say that I have got used to the rangefinder. It is not necessarily an issue for me. I wouldn't say that I'm a pro or that, like, you know, I'm very good with the zone focusing or anything like that yet, but I can focus a lot faster than I used to. It does still take me some time when I'm, you know, photographing people and they're moving and stuff like that. It does take some time still, but for the most part, if I'm photographing things, I can, you know, take the picture with no problem, and it doesn't take too long or too much time out the day. So, and another reason why I like this camera, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, that's a stupid reason, which it is, but we have to be honest, this is a very good looking camera. If you've seen the Leica M6, if you held a Leica M6, if, you know, you see videos on the Leica M6, you can't help but to think how beautiful of a camera this is. Very well made, that German engineering, it looks good, it feels good, and when you see one, it just looks like royalty. So if we're being honest, and anybody who would say otherwise is a liar, this is a very beautiful camera, and just the fact that this is a beautiful camera is one reason to own it. Another reason to own it is that it's very small. It's not a pocket camera, but I can take it everywhere with me. I can throw it into a small bag. I can always have it on my shoulder, and it doesn't feel or take up too much space on me or in my bag. So that's always a good thing. And another thing is that just because it is kind of a smaller camera, it is very well built. It's heavy. It's a very heavy camera. It's small, but it's heavy. If you've held a Leica M6, you know that it's heavy. It's very well made. Again, very well made. So that is the reason why I feel like I don't need to baby this camera, which I like. I don't want to like baby any of my cameras. I don't want to have a camera that I feel like might break, so I need to baby it. But this camera was a lot of money, so maybe I shouldn't, you know, just all out break it. Another reason why I love this camera is that the shutter is very quiet. I love the fact that the shutter is like non-existent, because if y'all know my RZ67, if I take a picture in downtown Detroit, you can hear that shit on 8 Mile. So it's very loud, where this one is very, very quiet, which I do like that a lot. And overall, I think the experience that you have with a camera is going to say a lot about how you feel about that camera. I've had a good experience with this camera since I've gotten it again. I've taken it to parties, get-togethers, just walking around. You know, I've done the videos on this channel with it. I've done a lot of things with this camera, and I look at it every single day and I want to take it out and I want to go take pictures with it. So that to me is an indicator that it is a good camera, or it is a good camera for me. A lot of people get mixed up and get things confused when thinking about cameras and saying if a camera is good. I think for everybody who's trying out a camera or trying to see if they like a camera, they should definitely try it out first. Just because the Leica M6 is a good camera for me or for what I'm using it for, it doesn't mean that it's going to be that good for everybody else. And that goes for every camera across the board, except for Nikon. If it's a Nikon, it's a bad camera for everybody. Sorry, Nikon boys, y'all know I gotta pick on y'all here and there. Also, another reason why I like this camera is because I got the Leica M6, and a lot of people might argue that this is, you know, not the smartest thing, but also I actually, you know, I don't care. But another thing that I like about this camera is that, you know, this camera was expensive, you know, very expensive. The lenses for this camera, as I mentioned earlier, are very expensive. It is great that this camera has third-party lens options that are very, very, very good. Because if we're being honest, if I post a picture of you see a picture and I say that it was taken with the Leica M6, you're not gonna have any idea what lens that photo was taken with. Let's just be honest. The Leica lenses, and everybody's gonna be like, if you're gonna get a Leica, you need to put Leica glass on there. And it's like, cool, Leica glass is $4,000. Buy me that Leica glass and I will happily put it on there. But if we're being honest, if you're looking at these pictures, if nobody ever even know that I had a Vuhlandes lens, and I told everybody that I had a 35mm Leica spherical lens, nobody's going to question any of that. Everybody's gonna believe me and just go along with that. So I do think we need to stop the gear, like, what is it? The gear glorification, because it's not that deep. It's not that deep to have the latest and greatest and most expensive. Granted, the lenses are very good, a lot better than these lenses when you get down to the technical aspects of it, but to me that doesn't have anything to do with actual photography, so it's not that deep. I like that this camera can attach lenses for cheaper and still get, you know, very good results. So all in all, the Leica M6 has become my favorite camera that I've shot with. Well, 35mm camera that I've shot with. I've taken it. I haven't taken it anywhere, but I am going to Europe. By the time y'all see this video, I am already in Europe. So I am taking it to Europe. So and it's the only camera that I'm taking to Europe. I'm also taking my contacts, but I don't actually think I'll use my contacts. So I don't know if I should even bring my contacts, but we'll see when we get to that point. But also, it's not as intimidating. You know, people see me walking around with this and they don't necessarily say anything to me. Like, it's a small camera. It doesn't necessarily get in the way or bother anybody, which I also like. So yeah, all those reasons, for those reasons, I love this camera. I'm pretty sure there's some other reasons that I can't think of right now, but good camera, and I very much enjoy it. If you have a different favorite 35mm film camera, point and shoot or SLR or rangefinder, let me know in the comments what it is. Let other people know in the comments what they are, because sometimes people mention cameras and I'm like, I've never heard of that before. I go and look it up and I'm like, you know, this is good. This is a good camera. So if you have a favorite 35mm film camera, let me know in the comments. Let the comments know. Let the people know. But that's going to wrap it up for me. If you guys are not subscribed to the channel, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, I am not talking to you because you already did what you had to do. But you know the vibes, man. We're gonna get out of here and we're gonna go do some shit. We're in Europe right now, so you know we doing some shit. You feel me? Let's get it. You know the vibes.